Thank you, chú Hồng. Thank you.
We respectfully request the Sangha great virtues for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tặng thịnh, vì thứ pháp hội cập nhật thiết chúng sanh, thịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh tỏa từ ly khổ đạt lạc, tất chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Sadanto Suchedo Ye Elahudi Samyao San Puto Sie. Nam mô Tạng Nạc Tha Tô Già Đà Già La Đế Tam Miệu Tam Bồ Đà Toa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu shang sheng sheng wei miao fa bai jian wan jie nan zao yu wo jin jie wen de shou chi Yuan Jie Ru Lai Zhe Shi Yi. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Great Master Qingliang, Great Master YongHua, all good monks and nuns, and all good knowing advisors, Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、精良大士、师父上人、各位出家人、各位善知识，弥陀佛。Chư Phật Bồ Tát, kính thưa Thanh Lương Đại sư Thượng Thiên Hóa, quý thầy cô và quý vị sĩ trí thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone, today is the Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's to everyone. And we're here at the Way Mountain Temple to continue discussing the prologue to the Avatamsaka Sutra. Thank you for joining us. We're on slide 1260. Continuing with the commentaries that Master YongHua, he was talking about his left home people. Back then he sent the first wave of people to go to Taiwan to receive 4 nations, the first 5. And then I think he sent the next second wave. And then he's talking about them. These people have some hesitation, some doubts once they got deeper into the system. All right, so they talked about, Master YongHua said, you don't like it, maybe I should talk to you and ask you whether or not you want to return to lay life. There's no point in continuing to be a monk and nun if you're not really into it. And so next here, 1260, he says, in general, there are 4 types of predications when talking about return to the lay life, the relationship between going home and returning. Okay, so first there's returning without becoming a lay person. So it's referring to here at in the Sangha, in in this monastic community, we do allow people to go back to visit the families. It's not a problem. However, in general, we recommend that the novices avoid doing that because they are not strong yet. They're not knowledgeable about the monastic code, the monastic life, and therefore when they go back home prematurely, they probably will give the wrong impression to the family. That's why we recommend they don't go home. But after they've become fully ordained and after they live in the community long enough, then actually it's not a bad idea to go home at all. So don't be under the impression that we're afraid your family, we try to cut you off your family. Not at all. It's a temporary thing because your family is important to you. The blood relationship is always there, whether you like it or not. So actually it's a good thing to have. This someone that you have a special bond with, people you have a special bond with, okay? And so in particular too, the people who are strong enough, and actually we see that they're going home, returning home to pay a visit to family or talking to their family over the phone or texting, actually is beneficial for the family, then it's not a bad thing for them to do, okay? So this is the first group where people go back home, stay in contact the family, communicate with the family, and they come back to the monastic life. And then, and that's returning. But returning here is hui. Hui is to go back to the family, but you also go back to the monastic life. And then next group, next predication is that you become a layperson, not returning, meaning you go back home. Layperson here represents your family. You go back home and you don't come back at all. Okay. Meaning that you renounce the monastic life. All right? Again, you're free. People are free to choose what they wish to do. There's nothing is forced here at all in the Sangha. And then, and those people, they have good reasons. And you talk to these people, they have very good reasons. Some good reasons, some not so good reasons, but that's the way it is, okay? Number 3, the third predication, third case, is that it's neither becoming a layperson nor returning. And so Master Shua explains this case as a person going back to their homes. They pay a visit to their homes, and for them, they're in the state of wisdom, where they're not attached to forms. And you see, the problem with people going back home is that they become attached. They invoke memories, good memories of what used to be, the comfort and the attention and the care from the family. So they miss that. Whereas when you have wisdom, you are not attached to these external things such as form or sounds, praises and words of love and attention. Okay, so this refers to a state of people who have wisdom. They rise above forms. They rise above sounds. They rise above the 6 dusts. Forms and sounds are symbols of the dusts that tend to confuse us and defile our Buddha nature. The 5 dusts are from the 5 sense organs: the ears, hear sound. So sound is a dust because the sound tend to confuse us. So for example, for the monastics, or even for those of you who want to receive the Bodhisattva precepts, part of the precepts is to not listen to music, is because music confuses you. Okay? This is referring to people who have no real wisdom yet. So it's best that you stay away from these who tend to confuse you, make you cover up your wisdom. After you are enlightened, after you have real wisdom, then these dusts can no longer cover you. And this is referred to case number 3 here. They are not covered, they're not confused by forms, they're not confused by sounds, they're not confused by chicken sandwiches, taste, okay? Not confused by fragrances, okay? And not confused by what else? Touch, okay? They don't have touch here, symbolizes objects of touch. In particular, the one object of touch, which is very difficult to detach from, is I don't know. I forgot. The sensual sensations that arise from touch. Okay? And that's very difficult to deal with. And then for some people, so that's why until you reach a 4th stage Arhat, you cannot rise above these sensual pleasures. You have no means to defend yourself against it, really, except conning yourself and pretending, playing games, mind games, pretending and you're not affected. But deep down, at a very deep level, you're affected. Okay, so that's why until you reach 4th stage Rahat, and then those people who reach 4th stage Rahats or higher, they invariably say that I'm not as confused by the sensual pleasures anymore. That's real to them. All right? And so, and finally, dust number 6 is mind. The mind can play tricks on you, and especially you stuck with your knowledge. Okay, the more educated you are, the more you become attached to your knowledge, the knowledge you acquire from your education. Okay. All right. So next line of the verse here, it says, so these people who have real wisdom, meaning 4th stage Rahats or above, higher, they are not affected by forms. They're not affected by sounds. So they are amid the dust, but the mind are not affected by the dust. They left the dust behind, like growing flowers in a well, undefiled by dust. Okay, that's possible, meaning that when you have wisdom, you can engage in the dust and not be affected. And that's very important. Whereas ordinary people, they live in the dust and they don't realize that the dust confuse them. The dust accrue by layers, and the confusion becomes deeper and deeper, and they don't realize it. Whereas this spiritual life, this spiritual path here we're working on, all of us are walking, is designed to help us uncover these layers of dust that cover up our Buddha nature, that cover up our real wisdom, that prevents our real wisdom light from shining. All right? So flowers here, this flower here refers to something that that beautiful nature inside of you, that once you have it, the dust can no longer affect you. Okay, once you're able to connect with that Buddha nature of yours, that nature of wisdom nature of yours, no dust can confuse you anymore. Any questions about this? So this is what you're called a superior person. Head and shoulders above the ordinary people. All right? And so that's the third group, where they don't really see as a layperson, or they don't see as returning. And they're free, okay? They're free to do whatever that they need to do. Yes, go Forest.
Master, sorry, this is a question about the anecdotes we discussed earlier. Is it okay to ask, or should we wait for next week?
Certainly, you can ask.
So I'm wondering if the Master Yang Shan see the whisk as empty, why would he want to grab it, and why he wanted to keep it for himself?
Only in that moment.
Only that moment.
The moment, you see, this is why he's so in that anecdote, and then people who did not participate in the prior Chan class, where we discussed the anecdote, whatever anecdote was, Yang Shan anecdote about the whisk. And he recounted the teaching from Master Wei Shan, what he learned from Master Wei Shan, what transpired at Master Wei Shan's temples. Is such a cool thing. And now I think, and now that we hear, if I were to go to a PhD program, I would ask the professor that I would ask him to explain this anecdote. If he can explain it, then I would place a value in his Buddhist teachings. They have some wisdom. Okay, not just words. We have high standards, folks. Okay, we're not going to waste time learning words, empty words. All right, that's my advice to you. Now, as to this particular anecdote here, just to give some context to people, Master Wei Shan says, anyone who accords in principles, who acts in accord with principles, I give this person this whisk. And so Master Yang Shan immediately, and you can imagine there are lots of people there, they all have wisdom, most of them have wisdom, so there's a lot of competition. So Master Yang Shan at the time, I believe he was younger, I wasn't there, but his behavior tells me that he's a show-off, he's still a showman, okay? You need to be a showman mindset to behave this way. So Master Yang Shan says, really? If I act he immediately asks. No one ever, before anyone had a chance, he immediately raised his hand and said, so if I act in accord with principle, I can have that whisk? And as I said, yeah, of course you can have it. So he came up and grabbed it from Master Wei Shan's hand and ran away. Okay, and left. I mean, he left very quickly. All right, and so the question that I explained that the reason that worked and that Master Wei Shan allowed it to happen is because when Master Yang Shan came up, he looked at the whisk and saw the whisk as empty. Because if he didn't see the whisk as empty, it's an act of theft. He he took it from Master Wei Shan without asking for permission. But at the point when he snatched the whisk, he emptied his mind. He says, this whisk is empty. And at that point, Master Wei Shan saw that. He said, so he saw the whisk is empty, therefore I cannot accuse him of stealing a whisk because he's stealing emptiness. So it's not a theft at all. To steal, you need to have something of value. When the thing is of zero value, it's no stealing. Okay? So that's why Master Wei Shan let him grab the whisk.
So, Master, that's really interesting. Does that mean we can really want something, but and just like as long as in the execution of the action we're not attached, we can want something and we can be empty still?
No, the point is that when you deal with Master Wei Shan, it's different.
Okay.
So you see, I thank you for asking again, because we only had half an hour. We didn't have enough time to explain in great details. But what's interesting here is you see on the surface, unless I explain it to you, it doesn't make sense to you. And that's precisely my point. I'm trying to teach all of you. It does not have to make sense to you because you don't have enough wisdom to understand. Only these people, Master Yang Shan, Master Wei Shan, understood each other. That's why the anecdote was taught to us to remind us, including the Shangzuo, the monk, the head monk in charge, assistant to Master Wei Shan. I feel that he didn't get it. He didn't see that Master Wei Shan looked into Master Yang Shan's mind and saw that Master Yang Shan, at the moment he grasped it, because when he walked up, Master Yang Shan said, I'm coming up to get a whisk. When he walked up to Master Wei Shan and said, this whisk is empty, then what are you doing walking up? You see, so for him to walk up, he says, I'm walking up there to grab a whisk before anyone else. Okay? And so he went up there, before he grasped a whisk. If he saw that it's still a whisk, he'll be committing stealing, and therefore, because he have to ask for permission. If he asked for permission, that's too slow. Okay? So he emptied himself. He looked at the whisk and says, that's empty. I'm not taking anything. So he grabbed it. As he grabbed for the whisk, his mind emptied. He said, this is not a whisk, it's empty. Master Wei Shan saw that. He says, he's not breaking precepts. So he let him. Instantaneous, at that very point right there, before he grasped, Master Yang Shan emptied his mind. Got that? That's what happened. Yes, in the back.
Master, I have a question. So if people don't know that is stealing, does it still count as stealing?
No.
No.
It's stealing to the people who are confused. This is why I said it doesn't have to make sense to you. Don't look at others and try to make sense. Okay? Because you cannot understand. This transpired, it made perfect sense, it's perfectly in accord with principles, what Master Yang Shan was doing, according to Master Wei Shan. Therefore, he gave him the whisk. You can take the whisk. At the very moment, basically, Master Wei Shan, okay, it's yours. That's why Master Yang Shan immediately ran away before someone understands it and grab and fight for it. Okay? And so the point here is that if you don't understand, these actions unless I explain it to you, okay? And that's why I try to tell you that if you don't have real wisdom yet, what wise people do don't necessarily make sense to you. It's none of your darn business what they do. What my Master Yang Shan did with Master Wei Shan is between them. It's not up to you to say, hey, that's stealing. Hey, you favoring this kid. That's not fair. We have more seniority and so forth. You're supposed to follow the rules. If you have the whisk, you want to give it away, you have to ask as first senior first, second most senior and so forth. You cannot let anyone come up and grab it from you like that. You see? So people who don't understand can object to it, even when it sounds logical. It's based on that Vinaya knowledge they have, the limited Vinaya knowledge they have. Okay, so that's why it does not have to make sense to you. What we're doing with you is we're training you to open your real wisdom. Whatever Master Yang Shan and Wei Shan do don't necessarily make sense to you. And if you make the mistake of criticizing them and opening your mouth and say, this Buddhism is confused, this doesn't make sense, okay? Remember, the rules are for you to help you open your wisdom. But once you open your wisdom, okay, you are a different world, different plane. And therefore, ordinary people can no longer interpret your actions anymore. Does it help? Unless you're there, you have no idea on what's going on. Unless I, for example, and precisely, unless I explain the anecdote to you, you couldn't understand it. Yes, go first.
Does it happen naturally because he enters samadhi at the moment? No sound?
It's deliberate. Next.
마스터.
Sorry. Sorry, Master. I was just saying that does it happen naturally because he enters samadhi at the moment?
I'm not going to answer that. Next. Because if I answer it, then idiots who don't know anything, they say, oh, I understand everything. I know what it's about. You have to be able to do it, then you understand what I mean. I just only will teach you so far so that I don't want bookworms to think they understand this. It's doing. It's not understanding. Next.
마스터, 제가 아까 참포아시아 때 질문하고 싶었는데 시간이 없어서 못했고요. 네, 사무님 여기 한번 끊을까요? 계속 할까요?
You all want to understand. What I'm teaching you is that can you do it?
네, 그러니까 그 위산 스님께서 상자에게 물어보는 것은 약간의 앙산스미에 대한 예의, 익스큐즈 같고요. 네.
The Master Wei Shan asked the senior monk that is kind of excuse to Master Yang Shan.
그리고 불자를 잡았던 것에 대해서 위산 스님은 주저함이 전혀 없었다. 다시 말하면 no thinking 상태였다고 저는 생각을 하고요.
So when he grabbed the whisk, he has no thinking.
그리고 그가 위스크를 잡은 다음에 떠난 거는 내가 불자를 잡았다는 생각이 없었기 때문에 떠날 수 있었다고 생각하는데 이게 제가 바르게 이해하고 있는지 제가 질문 드리고 싶었습니다.
And when he grabbed the whisk and then left, because he doesn't have no thinking. Am I understand right?
No. It's okay. I forgive you. Next, anyone else? Yes, in the back.
Master, I'm just being stupid because you know, like the kids. I was thinking of the stealing precept. If the kids going to the temple and he did not know mindlessly take the food, and then he eat that, he did not know, does he commit offenses as stealing?
Yes, but I forgive him. I know he doesn't know. He steals from the temple. He's going to go to hell unless I do something about it. And this is what happens in the temples. People come to the temple, kids, for example, come to the temples, they don't know. And they see things they like, whether it's food or little things here and there. They're just kids. And the exact rules of Vinaya is that you steal from the Sangha, from Triple Jewel, you're in big, big trouble. These kids will go to the hells. So that's why when you have a temple, boys and girls, there's responsibilities. You know, they're going to come to your temples and commit offenses out of ignorance. Some of them, like kids, they do it and they deserve to get help. And some others who do it on purpose, they deserve to go to the hells. You have to discern them properly. That's your responsibility. It's not. Don't think of it as having a temple and having disciples and so forth. You have responsibility. You need to serve the people and protect the people who come to the temple until they have real wisdom.
Thank you, Master.
I stole from Master XinHua's temple, still myself. I'm still not in the hells yet. Maybe after I die, I will go to the hells. Who knows? We do things out of ignorance and stupidity. So temples are supposed to help us, not harm us. So if you open a temple, and your supporter who gave you money to build the temple, bring the kids, and the kids come to the temple and stole a fruit from the tree. That's what Vietnamese people do during New Year's Eve. Yeah? Hai lộc hai em. They all go to the house, let me tell you. I was one of them. I climbed up and grabbed a tree from a temple here in Orange County, like everyone else, so that I have a good money that year. I did not. It didn't work for me at all. And I know the abbot of the temple, she has no way of protecting me. So if I go to the house because of that, it's her fault. You know that? She opened the temple for me so that I have a chance to go to the house. So be careful, boys and girls. It's the responsibilities. Yes, JC.
들려요? 지금 앙상 스님께서 그 100불이 공이다는 걸 아셨는데 굳이 왜 그것을 가져가셨는지 그게 궁금합니다.
So Master Aung San saw that it's empty, but why did he grab it?
Because he likes it. Okay? He can choose to like it, and he choose not to like it. He can choose to attach to it, and he can choose not to attach to it. Whereas we have no choices. We are attached. For example, we are attached to money. We are attached to fame. We are attached to love. Yes? You are attached to love for your son, aren't you? Can you let go? You can't. There you go. Anyone else? Okay. And so, this third predication here, the third case here, these people who have wisdom, they go home, they're not attached to home, they're not attached to returning at all to home or to the temple, as a matter of fact. And they are, Master Xinhua says on slide 1262, they don't have the air of a lay person at all. They are lofty in their comportments. Actually, this is what the Hinayana people, Hinayana tend to dwell on this, this air of superior person. If you really have high level wisdom, you should disappear. You have no air of superiority. You're just actually the same as everyone else. You don't stand out at all. Okay? And so, anyway, but the people who are low level, like a fourth stage arhats, they have an air of superior air to them. They are so lofty. They're so special. They're above you, above us. Because they need to be above us so that they're safe from our ickiness. Okay? So they have wisdom, but not that strong. They still have fear in them. That's what I call Hinayana, Mahayana. They have Mahayana wisdom, but not very high, and therefore they still harbor the Hinayana fears, Hinayana obstructions in their practice. I don't say it just to criticize them or denigrate them or belittle them. It's to remind them that the Mahayana practices are Hinayana, have Hinayana constraints, limitations. All right, the fourth one, both living layperson and returning. And this is a case where you're a layperson and you can, meaning you layperson, you can return home as often you want, but you also are able to return to the temple as often you want. So the best of both worlds, where you fulfill your lay person's responsibilities, pursuits, and yet you still are able to live in accord with the Dharma. So that's why you go to the temple and propagate the Dharma and show people that lay people can have wisdom too. Okay, and that's not, wisdom is not only reserved for left-form people, but lay people can also have it. Okay, meaning that we don't discriminate. You lay people, lay person, or left-form person. For us, it's the same. Okay, we help you open your wisdom. meaning that furthermore, I don't care whether you're a girl or a boy. I can't care less. I don't care if you are young or old, or black or white. It doesn't matter at all. Okay? Wisdom has no such discriminations. Buddha nature is free from all those discriminating factors. Yes, 7.
Thank you, Master. We have a question from Carol. Emitofuo, Master. In Heart Sutra, there are sentences of Shariputra. What is the relationship of Shariputra with context? It is just a name called, or have any other meaning there?
Shariputra is Shariputra, that's Chinese for Shariputra, who happens to be number one in wisdom amongst the Buddha's Arhat disciples. If you reach fourth stage Arhat, and the level of wisdom for those fourth stage Arhats, among them, Shariputra is number one, meaning that no one can surpass him among the Buddha's disciples. The Arhat disciples of the Buddha, they have wisdom, but none of them is higher, meaning that Shariputra represents someone who has the highest possible level of wisdom in Hinayana. Now, this is very subtle. This Heart Sutra was spoken in the Prajna period, meaning it's not targeting the Arhats at all, the Agama students, the Hinayana students at all. The audience for this teaching of the Prajna teaching is bodhisattvas. They are the people who aspire for high level wisdom, higher than Hinayana wisdom, which includes Hinayana Mahayana as well as Mahayana Mahayana. Okay, so Shariputra represents the Arhats of the Hinayana who has achieved the highest possible level of wisdom in Hinayana teachings, and they want to go higher. They're not content with just getting the Hinayana highest level of wisdom. They want to learn and develop the Mahayana or the Prajna wisdom, which is Mahayana wisdom. All right, and therefore this Heart Sutra, in this Heart Sutra, this is a very concise teaching in Prajna. Is designed to be very short, so that it's about 256 Chinese characters, and so it's very short, and yet it contains, it's a symbolic, it's representative of all the Prajna teachings. All right? And in this sutra, as you can see by the fact, as a question was asked, the fact that the Buddha addresses Shariputra. So you see, it's the message is that you Hinayana people, even if you reach a highest level of wisdom in your field of specialization, okay, you need to study the Prajna teachings in order for you to reach a high level of wisdom of the bodhisattvas. That's why the Buddha keeps on repeating Shariputra, Shariputra, okay, this and that, Shariputra, this and that. So those are for emphasis. You, Arhats, should know this. You who consider yourself to be as wise as Shariputra, Okay, you should know this because I, Buddha, already declared that if you practice the Hinayana teachings, your wisdom can never exceed Shariputra's. So those of you there who are arhats, who are pratyeka Buddhas, think you have more wisdom, you should study this Praja Sutra, this Heart Sutra, and in order to reach the Praja wisdom, develop the Praja wisdom. Did I answer the question? So that's why the Buddha kept on repeating Shariputra's name. So you arhats, pay attention. You know, you arhats, you think you know so much, but actually look at these principles here in this very short sutra. You don't get it. Buddha says, I talked about 5 skandhas, all empty. And you don't even know what the 5 skandhas are. You see how little you know about Buddhist teachings. It's still an ocean vast of teachings that I have yet to teach you. And when I talk to you about this Heart Sutra, you don't get it at all. So therefore, I made this Heart Sutra in order for you to recite it so that you generate vajra seeds for them to mature, instead of you reading your junk in Hinayana. And that's the beauty of this sutra, Shariputra. You should know that listening to this sutra here plants seeds, vajra seeds in you for you to open your wisdom. All right, and then so finally the fourth case is that a person who can return, who has enough wisdom to go home, fulfill his responsibilities to his family, to his country, to his society, and then returning to the temple to practice the Dharma as well. Yes, 7.
Emitofuo Master, since it is Valentine's Day, I had a question about these types of lay people. Is there any guidance in Mahayana about how to be a good lay person in love?
Guidelines for what?
Well, I know that there's...
Master YongHua says, don't have sex with your wife.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you have, be very proper. Don't have fun. Happy Valentine's Day. Regardless. Seriously, it's very Chinese. I'm amazed that no American ever objected to it. They're fake, his disciples. I would have said, excuse me. Yes, in the back.
Master, speaking in spirit, what does how to have proper and not having fun?
I don't know. I never learned. Lucky for me. I'd be lost in the details. So, yeah, what do you want to know about the guidelines? What is it? Is it how many children, the frequency, or how they divide money? There's so many aspects to love.
Yeah, you know, like how to be a good husband, or what qualities to like exhibit within a relationship, those kind of things. Like, I know there's like the precepts, of course, but beyond that, is there anything else that they talk about how to be in love? Because mostly it says, like you were saying, love is bad and attachment and don't do it at all.
I didn't say that. I said, Master YongHua said that. Do not put words in my mouth.
True.
This is what happened to me. I say this, I said, Master YongHua said that, and as soon as I said that, he said, Master YongHua said that. And you don't even have to wait for AI to superimpose my voice. Anyway, what is it you don't understand? The point about the Buddhist disciple is that we have obligations to our family, and we take it very seriously. And unlike the Chinese, I feel that part of it is sex as well. Now I lost some disciples. Okay? And so the Chinese are too prudish. To me, it's no longer relevant. I don't think the Chinese believe that anymore, or the Korean believe it anymore. Okay? And so you have to commit to taking care of your family. Do the best you can. And in the framework of the 6 or 7 principles, that's all you have to do. It's beyond that, it's wide open. Okay? It's nothing in the precepts that says you must only have, moderate your sexting with your wife. That's Chinese. It's not in the Vinaya. Not at all. I read the Vinaya myself. When it comes down to 5 precepts, there's no such limitations. Okay? He chose to add it for his Chinese prudishness or whatever, what he did. And I'm pretty sure it's directed at his disciples. But for you, I don't have that problem. Okay? What else you want to know? Yes, in the back.
Master, on behalf of us, layperson, thank you so much.
Now I'm going to be branded as heretic and lose Sangha. Who cares? Okay, as long as you become enlightened, that's all I care about. What other people think, they're just jealous, losers. Okay, anyone else? Okay, next, 1263. I see that people are not clear about Dharma doors or reciting Buddha's name, so they do recite very sloppily and don't perfect their skills. So now he's talking about reciting Buddha's name. Okay, and then he says, investigating Chan is the same as reciting Buddha's name. Reciting Buddha's name is the same as investigating Chan. Okay, and you see, we are now, you're so advanced, you're so sophisticated, and when we read these things, it's like so childish, the way he explains that mindfulness of the Buddha's name. What mindfulness? Just recite the Buddha's name. You don't even have to be mindful. Okay? Just recite the Buddha's name. It's very simple. Just recite. There's no need to be worried about mindfulness. Okay? But here he used the mindfulness of the Buddha is in the context of the Wato who's mindful of the Buddha. Okay? So he mixes them. He mixes that Pure Land Dharma with the Chan, Huato Dharma, or who's reciting the Buddha's name, who's mindful of the Buddha's name. That's it. But it's not necessary. It's okay to impress the boys and girls and so forth, and pale-faced people back then, because they don't know anything, and they still don't know anything right now, thanks to his disciples. Okay, and so that's why he talks about that they're the same. Mindfulness and Buddha is the same. Okay, and then so because they're the same, therefore when you investigate Chan, the one that are mindful of the Buddha, and I'm surprised that no one asked when I practice Chan. Like let's say I'm mindful, I count my breath, like where you taught me, Great Master YongHua. How is it being mindful of the Buddha? You see, when you go into this, when you parse things this way, explain things this way, you have a lot of issues. Okay? But again, because they're babies back then, they're a bunch of ignoramuses, ignoramice. Okay? That's Latin for ignorant people. They didn't ask him, so he could go on and on about this. He says, people are mindful of Buddha are Buddha. Oh my God. Nothing is further from the truth. You're mindful of Buddha, how can you be Buddha? It's very different. And whereas that cannot be said of those who investigate Chan. Okay? The reason is that when you're reciting Buddha's name, Namo Mitaba Buddha, then the only thing in your mind is Buddha. Eventually you'll become a Buddha. That's a long, long time, boys and girls. You can recite the Buddhas for a long, long time, 20 years, 30 years, 20 lifetimes, 20 million lifetimes. Maybe then you become a Buddha. But he's talking to these babies, these people who, this is oversell to me, okay? These primarily Caucasians, hippies who are a little bit high, like hippies used to be in that era, 1971, 72 in San Francisco. And so you walk in there, hey, brother, hey, bro, peace to you. And I don't know how they talk. I'd love to go back in time to see how these people could be saved. Anyway, the only thing in your mind is Buddha. No, the only thing in your mind is Buddha and weed. Okay. And it's a little bit childish the way he explains here. But it's okay. You have to understand the Dharma. You cannot shine a light on the Dharma in a unreasonable way. You need to understand the Dharma is given to the audience. The Dharma is spoken for a specific audience. And at the time, I will submit to you that I feel Master YongHua teaching skills are not quite there yet. That's why he spoke. The way he explains the Dharma here has so many holes that it's so inaccurate that it's dangerous. Okay, but for that audience, for beginners, it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Okay, flower opens and one sees the Buddha. This, that's what they all talk about. This is what happens. You get to the Pure Land, and the good quarters. Like you go to our quarters. When the Buddha brings the flowers to our quarters, flowers open. You see the Buddha. But when the Buddha, when your flower opens at the different quarters, you may not see the Buddha. Okay, So you see, he refers in one particular case. Those investigators, they're looking for Buddha, wondering who's reciting Buddha name. You see, I told you, it's about, that's in that context. He at the time, I think he was trying to impress people who practice Chan by teaching Huatou. And I have the luxury of telling you that I practice Huatou, I practice all the stuff, and I feel that Huatou is such an inferior Dharma door. So inferior. Because I know one person who practiced Huatou, became enlightened, and then he gave up and said, this is too slow, too impractical. It's not for the 21st century, folks. Okay? Anyway, so at the time, 71, so how long ago? 50 years ago. This is a long, long time ago, half a century ago. Huatou is still like the premier Chan Dharma door. I don't mind telling you, from my time on, I'm the one who will advocate Huatou is so Dharma. Okay? Chan has so many more dharmas, much faster, much better, much more powerful. Huatou is, a case in point, Huatou is an inferior Sutton Dharma. You understand Sutton Dharmas, then you see the Huatou is rather slow. Yes, too.
Master, is Amita Bull the same as Emitofuo, or is Amita Bull, is that Korean?
Yeah, Amita is like, I think, a Japanese.
I think Amita Bull, is that?
Yeah, Emitofuo is Chinese. Okay? I don't know what Korean. Amitabul is Korean. Okay. Again, in a prior life, I'm Korean, so I will not attack Koreans tonight. Okay? Who's mindful, reciting is who, so forth. They keep looking around and say, again, this Huatou instruction is really are no good, to be blunt with you. Okay? When you're mindful Buddha, will come back to your nature, you don't have to search outside. Okay? Yes and no. But anyway, I don't explain things this way. Again, I don't think his explanation was, his skill as teacher were not that polished yet, if you will. It's 50 years ago. This is like 30 years before he died, so he still had a lot to learn on how to teach Americans. Buddha recitation session held for that entire week. You don't have any other false thought. You're just mindful Buddha, then you become one with Buddha. Yeah, it's false advertising. You can do that, and you're sure you're born in Western Bliss Pure Land. Yeah, if you're one with Buddha already, why do you have to be reborn in Western Bliss Pure Land? It's because you know one with Buddha, that's why you have to go to Western Bliss Pure Land. If you want you're one with the Buddha, you don't need to go to the Pure Land. You can go anywhere you like. Okay? Again, that's my perspective. But for him, for the pale-faced people, you should be happy you can go to the Pure Land. Yeah. It's like talking down to you people. So to me, I find it, not acceptable. Okay? So it's a wonderful Dharma door, reciting Buddha's name. What do I investigate in Chan? You may ask. It's good practice too. You have to suffer. Now, I like this. He's very good in Chan. There are certain things in Chan it's fantastic. Okay, the foundation he teaches about Chan is so good, the way that no other Chan master teaches or dares teach after he left. No one dare teach the way he does, by the way. Okay? None of his disciples, none of my generation will dare teach his way. You have to suffer. Okay? When you teach Chan, you have to listen to Master YongHua here. When you have to practice Chan, you have to listen to Master YongHua. This is fundamental to cultivation. You want to cultivate, whether it's Chan, whether it's Pure Land, but more so in Chan, you have to suffer. You're not suffering, then they're treating you like, excuse me, like a baby. Okay? You're grown up, I've talked to you like a grown up. You have to suffer. You're not going to tell her you have to suffer. You say, okay, some candy, just have fun, and so forth. Because they're babies. They're young. They don't quite understand yet. But if you want to hear the truth as an adult, you want to learn how to escape your limitations, rise above your limitations, then you have to suffer. So, to paraphrase that famous line in the Wall Street movie, suffer is good. Suffering is good. Ladies and gentlemen, suffering is good. You see that scene? I love that. He said with so much conviction, greed is good. So I'm telling you, suffering is good. Believe. Okay? You have to suffer. What kind of suffering? First, you have to put up with the pain. Okay? He's so blunt about this. I love this. And there's no getting around this, by the way. If the people who practice meditation and they sit there and they feel good, like this young lady there, number 6, it's only because their teachers are afraid to lose them. Yes, 6.
A Di Đà Phật thầy, con muốn hỏi là buổi sáng nay con thường trước khi con dậy sáng sớm con hay trì lăng nghiêm á, thì trước khi trì lăng nghiêm con thường hay niệm Đức Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật 3 lần, xong rồi niệm chú xong. Từ giờ hồi sáng này con niệm Đức Bổn Sư mà con nhìn cái hình Ngài, cái con niệm hoài, con cứ niệm Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật, Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Con niệm một hồi sau tự nhiên con thấy con đau ngay cái chỗ này quá, cái tự nhiên cái đầu con tự nhiên con nói chết rồi. Để mai hỏi thầy có bị lọt vào ngũ ấm ma không? Cho nên con hỏi thầy, không biết sao nó bị đau vậy. Cái con ngừng.
Emitofuo Master, so usually...
Let the daughter translate this.
Yes, Master.
I hope she was listening.
Emitofuo Master, I would like to ask that for this morning, usually every morning when I wake up, I recite the Shrangama mantra, and I usually recite and then recite Amitabha's name. But for this morning, I looked up at the altar and recited Shakyamuni's name 3 times, and then I felt a pain in my head, and I told myself to remember to ask you. When I saw you, I'm like, oh no, I don't know if I fell into or encountered the 5 Ngoam demons,
Skanda.
by skanda demons. That's what I wanted to ask you today.
Hung, what did she miss? What did she leave out?
What I miss?
See, Hung's very detailed. He writes down whatever he hears first to make sure he misses nothing. That's why I'm checking.
So there's one thing is that she recited Shakyamuni Buddha 3 times before she recited Shurangama mantra. But this time, this morning, all of a sudden that she keep reciting Shakyamuni Buddha all the way, and all of a sudden that there is a pain that she experienced at that point, and she was afraid that she fall into the 5 skanda demon state. And so she stopped reciting and she wanted to come as master.
Okay, very good. That's very good, precisely. So she recited the Buddha's name. She had this program in the morning where she does her cultivation. At what time?
Dạ, thường thường là con niệm, con dậy khoảng 4 giờ, khoảng chừng 5 giờ thôi. 5 giờ, 4 tới 5 giờ. Yeah.
So between 4 and 5 a.m. Yeah. God, I would never get up that early. Anyway, so she would recite these things, and usually, so she kept reciting Shakyamuni Buddha's name more than 3 times. She kept going, and so she kept going is because she entered samadhi, and pretty soon, and after a while, she realized that she was still reciting in Buddha's name, meaning she exited samadhi, and then she realized the head was hurting, and that's because she entered samadhi, and the chi went up to her head, and found that there are a lot of stuff up there that are clogged up. That's why it hurt. The chi is trying to push through. So it's a good thing. Nothing to worry about. Yeah. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, you don't have to be so fearful because the Vietnamese people, they tell each other to avoid meditation because it's very easy to enter demonic states. So it's a good thing that something is unusual happens, you should ask someone, okay, before it gets any worse. That's a wise thing to do if you have improper foundation, no good foundation, and you have no one to guide you. Okay, you don't have to be scared anymore. If you practice according to the things we teach you here, there's no need to worry about it. You should not stop at the first sign of something not going right. You should continue and ignore it. Okay, it's no big deal. The pain and whatever is not a big deal. Because it's like Master YongHua says here, you have to suffer to endure the pain. All right?
Dạ, con cảm ơn thầy. A Di Đà Phật.
Okay.
Thank you, Master Emitofuo.
And then you have to suffer, and then you have to make sure that all times you're not having false thoughts. Okay? What he's not saying, what he's saying indirectly is that having false thoughts is actually a form of suffering. Okay? Those thoughts that come up in your head when you meditate is a form of suffering, is a form of harassment, and that's natural. So what he's teaching you here is endure. Don't bitch and moan. Why does it keep on coming? Why I've been practicing so long, it still come up? Shut up, endure. Don't be such a crybaby. Suffer. Like a woman. You compare the two, chant is harder than reciting Buddha's name, which you can do anytime, anywhere. Yes, it's true. Chant actually is more demanding, requires more dedication. Whether the Pure Land Dharma door reciting Buddha's name, you don't have, it's not as demanding in terms of requirements. Okay. Because the purposes are different. When you're mindful of Buddha, Buddha will be mindful of you. That's correct. When the two mindfulness merge, you become Buddha. Yeah, right. When do they merge? I don't know why these people never ask, when can I expect them to merge? Because I'm so Americanized. When you give me something, you make me a promise, I ask you right away. I said, so how long will it take before they merge? That's why, I'm prepared for you, for Americans, to ask me these types of questions. You want to ask a 7? Okay, don't ask. Go ahead, 7.
Thank you, Master. First, I'll ask this YouTube question. Daniel 7 asks, Amitofuo Master, is there a difference between karmic creditors and enemies? Thank you, Master.
They're similar. Don't worry about it. Enemies are basic karmic creditors. All right? Whether it's from the past or in the future. The past because you asked for it from the past. In the future because you're doing it right now, so they become your enemies in the future too. Yes, second question.
Thank you, Master. When will our two mindfulnesses merge?
I thought you wouldn't ask. They merge when they merge. They will merge naturally. And it will be a long, long time, buddy. And this is very wonderful Dharma door. You haven't looked into it carefully, so you don't know its good points. And very few people attended when I held the session. And today, now I tell you, you really must miss a good chance. Yeah, actually, it's true here in a way, because many people who finally are able to spend time doing the Buddha recitation at our temples, they like it. Most of them like it. Okay? And so if you recite the Buddha's name, you can do it for half an hour, 15 minutes, or 20 minutes, or 1 day, 2 days, and so forth. Every time you do that, it's a wonderful thing. It's a very good thing for you. Why is that? Unlike his time back then, right now, when you come to places like here, or DTT and Gold Force and so forth, you get a lot more because of the people there have good recitation skills. Okay, that's the reason for it. So that's why it's worthwhile for you to come to the temple and in person to do it. Okay, don't miss out. It's my advice to you. 1269, I tell you something else is the absolute truth. What I like most in reciting Buddha's name is when I'm asleep, I recite Namo Amitabha. That's true. He can recite when he's asleep. He can recite when he's dreaming. When I'm walking or I'm standing, I'm reciting Namo Amitabha Buddha. That's true. That's what he does too. Walking, standing, lying, sitting down are all done reciting Namo Amitabha Buddha. It's a natural state for him. He recited Buddha's name constantly. Okay, he has very strong affinity with the Buddha. Amitabha Buddha is standing all around me because Amitabha wants to become one with me so that there is no difference between us. Well, I wouldn't talk like this, but why would Amitabha Buddha want to become one with him? Oh my God. Okay. This is, like talking to a child to me. Well, would you say it's wonderful or not? Is there anything else could be more wonderful? Yeah. For you pale-faced people, isn't it wonderful? 1270. Reciting Buddha's name, most wonderful Dharma doors. Remember, it's the point you have skill, you don't know what I'm talking about. All that he does is about to make you curious enough to do it, because unless you do it, it's only talk. Don't be like scholars. They only talk. They don't know what they're talking about. Buddhism is about experiencing it with yourselves. The words there are only designed to encourage you to do it. If you do it, then you feel the bliss. You get the real benefit. You only read and talk about it, and you're missing on the point. You're missing so much. Yes, intellectually, the Buddhist teaching is fantastic. It's so profound. It's so intellectually stimulating. But if you like it even more when you recite, when you actually engage in the practice yourself. Don't miss it. Okay? Whether it's for a minute or 2 or 3, okay? You don't want to do it. It's all about you doing it. If you're not willing to do it, we can't help you. You're missing. You may say, what's the use in reciting Buddha's name? And he says, why not? What's the use of not reciting? Okay, there's nothing better than be able to be with Buddha every day. Yeah, the point here is that when you recite the Buddha's name, you amongst the privileged company. That's a fact. Because how many people know to recite the Buddha's name? And here in particular at Master Hsuan temples, how many people can be reciting at his temples? Not many. Okay? And so what I want again to stress for you is not just talk. You have to do it. You have to do chant. You have to recite the Buddha's name for you to get a taste of cultivation. Okay? And it's not an easy thing for you to do, by the way. It takes a lot of blessings for you to be able to participate and not run away. All of you think it over. How many places are there where the Buddha recitation sessions are held? Nowadays there's a lot, but they're not the same, okay? Not in America, in the entire West. There are few places, such places. For constantly looking at history, there aren't any. At the time, 50 years ago, there weren't many places. Certainly none of the caliber of Master Hsuan's way places. Now you have a chance, you missed it. So next year, make sure you come back, okay? Just do it. Okay, it doesn't look like I can finish here today. So let's stop here tonight. Thank you, and we'll continue next time.